Good afternoon and welcome to Stampin' with Margaret from the She Shed. Today I'm taking part in the Stamping Around the World video blog hop, and our theme this month is stamping, and this is the card that I am going to make, and I'm going to do a slightly different version of the card. And I'll ask you, when you're finished watching the video, if you wouldn't mind going down to the comments underneath this video, and under more you will find all the other participants in the blog hop. Their links will be there, and they will also be doing all sorts of different projects using Stampin' Up items, and they will be making something under the theme of stamping. And I decided that I would do this card showing how, just very simply, to stamp this, that you don't need to be the best colorist in the world to end up with quite a nice card that somebody will appreciate getting. In this case I have it You're the Best is the title I'm using, and it's from this Creative Haven stamp set, but you could have You're the Best, Congratulations, Thank You, Happy Birthday, or whatever. And the other stamp set I'm using is this new one called Unbridled Beauty. Now, I have lots of friends who love horses, and they're all male and female, but this would make a great card for Father's Day, for Happy Birthday, anything like that. Anybody who likes horses, horse riding, pony club, show jumping, you have lots of different uses for this stamp set. And then by using the crumb cake card, you see that it's not very hard to colour in the horse, and you know, I just fussy cut that out, and it just makes a beautiful simple card that is different for the men in our lives if you're using it for that, and it's not a bottle of beer or something like that. It's nice to have something different to be able to put on a card. So I will proceed with the card and explain to you what I'm doing. I've done a lot of die cutting and cutting out first because I'm trying to save time on the video. Now, this is a fancy fold card, but it's basically a 5x7 card scored at 2.5 and scored at 5, with then the 2 circles on the front. Now, I'm going to use these circles, but any basic shape dies that you have. And the dies that I'm using are part of this Creative Haven set as well. As you can see, I have them here stuck on the back of the sheet of paper, and I put that into my envelope. Now it's a new way of storing the stamps and dies with the new envelopes, but these are ones, just sheets of magnetic sheet, and I stick it onto the paper and it keeps everything together in the envelope. I have the stamps on the back there, and I'll proceed now to make the card. So first of all, I'm going to take my base card. In this case I'm doing white, but I just thought I would try the craft cardstock on the last card, just to have something a little bit different. So I'm scoring there at 2.5, and I'm scoring at 5, and this will go into a 5x7 envelope. I always prefer to make slightly bigger cards. I find the A6 card is just that little bit too small. So I'm going to score it here and score this back the way. Now, for this card, what I have done is I've cut down this sheet of coloured paper, and I've cut it at 4 7/8 by 6 7/8, just to leave a little white border. And I have cut this panel here. I haven't cut it right, but it is 2.5 inches, so that would mean it should be 2 3/8 by 6 7/8. and I'll just double check I have this right. It's 2 3/8 by 6 7/8, and it just gives a tiny little border of the 1/16 of an inch, so that will go here. And I'll stick them down before I go any further in case I lose them on the desk, as can very easily happen. Now this paper is paper I'm using from a paper pack that came out last year, Serene Love, and they're just quite simple papers, but there is lots of new papers on the online shop where you can get something quite simple like this and use the tones in the card or in the papers that you're using to do your colouring in on the die, and then everything will be coordinated. So I have a green circle and I also have a white circle. This is where I'm going to do my stamping. Then the insert for the card, I have cut it down to 4.5 by 6.5, just so you see plenty of the colour around the edge, and I think it just shows off all the papers at its best. Now you could do this again with the product of the month, and as you know, if you spend over €90 in 1 month, you can get a pack of papers for €6 for the packet, and I was able to get them last month. I just have them all in the one pouch here, but they're all of these beautiful boho blues and night of navy, all sorts of lovely colours that you could actually use in this same sort of card. And all I would do in that case would be stamp the horse and all the little cottage and the fences either in black or in navy, and just leave it plain, and you could still make the same card using these beautiful papers. So this is my card base ready to go, and now I'm going to work on the stamping. I have all my stamps here ready to put it onto the front of the card. Now I'll just bring this in here again. To give this perspective, I have put the house quite far back and brought the tree forward, so that the tree is, because it's nearer to you, it's going to be bigger. So when you have the barn or the house further back and the two small horses beside it, it makes them look like they're in the background. And then with the fence in the foreground, even though you don't see a lot of it, it just gives the whole picture some foreground. I used my brushes then just to put a bit of ink around the top in the blue and the green, and I'll show you how I did all of that when I've got the stamping done. So I'm using crumb cake for the basis of all of the stamping, and like this is quite easy to do, but you know, don't take it too seriously. If you go wrong or you don't like the way it is, cut out another circle and try it again. So I'm just putting that about just above halfway up my circle, and that's where the wee cottage is going to go. I'm now going to put the two little horses in front of that, so they're closer to us, so we can bring them down here. And then I have the tree, which again I'm going to use the same brown, and because, as I said, it's closer, it's going to be lower down on the picture. So I just put it here, and then with the rest of the greenery that's in the stamp, I will just add some more green along the front here and here. And then I have misplaced the stamp for the fence, so I'm just going to have to forget about the fence today. Oh no, here it is in front of me. If I had eyes, it would be very handy. Now in this case I'm going to use just the darker colour with the ground espresso, just to give a little bit more colour on the fence, and I'm going to put it here to fill in all of that picture. Now I'm going to do the colouring, which all I'm going to do now is use the ink that's here on the lid of my ink pad. Now how I got that on was that when it was closed, I just squeeze it very tight and lift up the lid, and you have some ink there. And I just use literally a tiny bit of water and a very thin brush. And less is more, and you can always go back with more, but if you put too much on in the beginning, it would be too strong. Now the artist has done most of the work for you. Where all the shading is, they have the darker colour. So you can go in there with your darker green and then add a bit more water and fill in the rest, and you'll drag in the brown of the crumb cake and add in some more of the green, and it just fills in the tree and makes it look a bit more lifelike, I suppose would be the thing. And I'm just colouring in here, and you can see, like, you don't have to be a colourist, you can just give the illusion of a little bit of colour, and there's your tree coloured in. So I nearly forgot about this one here. I'm just going to add a tiny little bit up here around the base of the barn. Now the other thing I do then is with a very wet brush, just draw a couple of lines back and over, as if it's just give the illusion of space and ground, a tiny little bit underneath those there. And it just continues the colour and fills in the picture. Your eye will do all of the rest. Now with the crumb cake, I'm going to do the same thing with the cottage. But first of all, what I want to do here is just colour in the posts of the fence a little tiny bit. And literally I just, with the wet brush, colour in the roof, and maybe add a little bit more of the brown underneath the roof, which gives it a little bit of overhang, and a little bit extra here. And there you have it coloured in. And now I'll do the wee horses. So you have a whole picture coloured in without having to do too much work. Now the next thing I'm going to do is use my brushes just to give a bit of sky and a bit more greenery to the bottom. So for the sky, you could use cloud cover or balmy blue, maybe for a little bit of sky. And for the green then, I'm going to use the old olive again, because I want to keep all the colours that I have used to a minimum. And I will now a little tiny bit of pool party, and literally just go around the edges to give the hint of the blue sky. You don't have to put too much on it, but it just fills in the colour. And then along the bottom I'll go with the green. And if you were doing this for the first time, what you could always do is just with a scrap piece of paper, take your stamps and play around with them and see what feels right when you are laying them out, and see how it feels, just to use the tiniest little bit of water. Keep your brush head quite wet, and then have the tiny little bit of ink, and play around, and you will find that the picture comes together so quickly, so that when you have these sort of stamps, you don't have to be using very fancy colouring methods. You can just colour quite simply. Now what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to put it slightly higher than I did with the original card, which was this one here, so that when I put my horse in front, you see more of the picture. Now I could put it this way if you wanted, but then you don't see the other small ponies. So if I put it up this way and bring everything down slightly, I'll still be able to fit in my little label at the top. So what I do is, if I have to put ink on this side, or if I'm using tape to stick it down, I have my fingers here, so I know it's here I need to put on the glue. And I have the green glue, this one, in my bottle, because I just find it easier to use the glue press. With the arthritis in my hands, it makes it slightly easier. And for the pony, I'm going to use a tiny little these little foam dots to raise him up, and I will put some here at his head. Just make sure I'm in the picture. And these make it so easy to put them on, because they're tiny. But if you don't have small ones, you can always cut them up. And you'll see here I use the edge, and then I just snip off little slim pieces so that I have the bits to fit on the back of the legs, because every piece on this sheet is usable to make your cards. So I pick it up with the pokey tool and then stick it down, and I'll put another couple of these guys here. And this is how, if you just stick your pokey tool in and then just say, pull it off like that, it works very well. And there's my pony in the front of the yard. And now I have my little label cut out. This guy here, and I'm going to use the same old olive to say, you're the best. I could even give this to my husband for an anniversary card, because he too loves horse racing. And I'm using a little bit of the cord, if you have linen tape or any cord that you have, just to finish off the little label. Put the loop through. And then I'm going to use some of these larger ones here. Now when I'm making a card like this, I'll put that there just to fill in that, and it just ties everything together nicely, even when it overlaps the circle. And like on this card, I won't put in any more sentiment on that until I know what I'm using it for, because I could send it to somebody and have happy birthday. But I would always put the sentiment on the inside, so that if when it's standing up, it's still, you can write in here and it's still kind of private, but when you see the card flat, It just, there's none of the handwriting or anything is visible, but you have "You're the best," and you can put down your sentiment down here, happy birthday, happy anniversary, or whatever. Now the other thing that you could always do as well would be put another little scene here, and I just had a thought that I'm going to do it this way. I'll put the little fence down in this corner again, and I will get the two ponies, if they're here on my desk. And again, I'll just put them grazing in front of the fence this time. And there you have another card. I hope you enjoyed that version of stamping. I hope it wasn't too rushed, but I'm trying to show that how simple it can be, that it doesn't have to be difficult to colour in a scene, and you're able to make a beautiful scene out of all the stamps from this set called Unbridled Beauty, and that's available on the online exclusives at the moment. So please look down below the video and you'll get all the links, and follow along to see what all the other creators from all over the world have made. It's the blog hop again is called Stampin' Around the World, and the ladies will all have some beautiful cards to share, and hopefully you'll get some inspiration. And thank you again for watching, and please like and share and support all of these lovely ladies who make beautiful things. Thank you very much. Bye bye.